The college basketball experience Sun Belt, aka the Fun Belt 24-25 season preview edition on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with that promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. That is the Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. Welcome, everybody, into the college basketball experience. Sun Belt, aka the Fun Belt. Oh, this is a fun league, man. You got a bunch of different teams. You got a wide open field, and you can make a lot of cases for a lot of winners this year in the Sun Belt. Sun Belt MAC Challenge shipping off here in 2 weeks from tonight. So we'll talk about all these team ranking 1 through 14, give out our sleeper bus champion, tournament champion, all that good stuff. But if you're wondering who you're listening to, I am Money the Line Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins. Also known as Mac Tonight over here at the College Experience, and bringing in a guy that knows a little bit about the Fun Belt. You guys know him as the window banging, drywall hanging, LeBaron driving, Noah Bieniek, a.k.a. Noah B77. Ready to talk a little Fun Belt?
I don't know, man. I don't know anything about any of these teams. This conference might just be one big mess, honestly, up and down the standings this season. I'm not prepared for the fun that is going to be had in the Sun Belt this season. Mac, I failed my job that I've done every conference, going back and listening to our predictions from last season. So I apologize to the listeners that did enjoy our flashbacks in the beginning of every show. But Appalachian State went 16-2 in conference last season. James Madison went 15-3. Those two were very, very good teams the entire season. James Madison came out on top in the conference tournament, and then they won a game in the NCAA tournament, knocking off 5-seed Wisconsin. So solid season for James Madison. Then Byington skips on over to Vanderbilt. So, and in comes Preston Spradlin from Morehead State. We'll get to a lot of more of the coaching changes as we go team by team, previewing all 14 of them in alphabetical order here. Mac, anything else that you want to add on just an overview before we jump in to the team preview portion of this show?
Yeah, so last year you mentioned it, App State and JMU were definitely the tier above everybody. And then you had that kind of next clump of you had Troy, Arkansas State, Louisiana, hell, even Southern Miss that were quality teams. This year, it's much, much more open. Just looking at, for example, KenPom, you have 3 teams projected 12-6. You got another 3 at 10-8. You got last place at 5-13. So outside of Monroe, you basically have everybody slotted between 12-6 and 6-12. It's going to be wide open. You got some coaching turnover. You mentioned it as well. This is a big transfer league. So a lot of high major transfers, I think, come back down to this for maybe a rebound spot before going to play overseas or wherever. But I think, and they're also located in a good part of the country for junior colleges, with the Panhandle being right there. So
I saw a lot of NAIA junior college.
Yeah. This is just a fun league, and it's fun in football and it's fun in basketball.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm coming in here with an open sheet of paper for my rankings. No predetermined thing before we jump into this show. Because honestly, I found myself like, it's middle of the pack team. Just because of a lot of holes, a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of junior college D2 NAIA transfers coming into this league that are expected to make a good impact. So yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. Don't even have a front runner on who I'm going to pick as a champ yet in the Sun Belt, but can't wait to talk about it. And we're going to start off with a bang, 1-2 punch of Appalachian State and Arkansas State. But let's go with the App State Mountaineers to begin. Last season, of course, we talked about it. They win the regular season by 1 game. They went 16-2 in conference, 27-7 in the non-con. They are replacing 4 starters in 77% of their minutes from last year's first place roster. Trayvon Spillers, 13-9 in 29 minutes per game. He's out. He's in the Big 12 in Texas. Where is he at? TCU? Where did he go? Maybe it was Wake Forest. I can't remember. Terrence, what's up?
I said, who did you say? Sorry, I was looking.
Trayvon Spillers.
Oh man, where did Spillers go?
He's either in Texas or Wake Forest. But anyway,
reading it, I'll get the answer for you when you come back around.
All right. Thank you. Terrence Harcum averaged 12 points per game, and Justin Abson, who averaged 8 and 7. All 3 of those guys hit the portal. Donovan Gregory is out of eligibility after 13.4.5 board, 3 assists per game, 5th-year season last year. The Mountaineers do return 2 guys that played over 22 minutes last season. Their point guard, Miles Tate, and 6'11", CJ Huntley is probably going to fill in at the 5, along with 7 newcomers here for the Mountaineers. Going through the roster, do you have where Trayvon Spillers transferred to, by the way?
Forest. We were right. Yeah.
It was either the state of Texas or Wake Forest. There's another star from the Carolinas that landed in Texas, maybe TCU. It might have been the UNC Wilmington Trezarian White that was tripping me up. But so coming in from Texas A&M Commerce is Alonzo Dodd. Shot at 31.5% from 3, played 25 minutes, averaged 6.5 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. Jackson Threadgill from Charlotte after playing 26 minutes for the Clits there. Stephen F. Austin transfer, Jaleel Bobrun, who played 18 minutes, averaged 8 points, 5 boards. And they also bring in 3 JUCO transfers. The 84 ranked JUCO recruit from JUCOrecruiting.com, Jamil Mutalib. He put up 19 points per game, 5 boards, 1.8 assists game at Kilgore. From Triton is Dior Connors. He put up 14 points per game, 3 boards, 3 assists. And from Hill Junior College, 13 points per game, 6 boards. Ben Izogu. Look, I think Appalachian State's going to take a little bit of a step back here, Mac. What are your thoughts on this App State season coming off of? They're going to have a target on their back this year, right?
They will. And Kearns is Kearns, I'm not just saying this because we had him on the show. He is a really good fucking basketball coach. He comes from that Mike Young tree. So at Wofford, he was there every step of the way. And that consistent building of winning a culture that they had there year in and year out. He goes to Presbyterian. He wins 20 games at Presbyterian in the second year, then comes over to App State. They were knocking on the door, finished around, 18, 17, 19 wins. And then, boom, 5th year, he gets all those upperclassmen. They go 27-7. Yes, they do lose a lot. That was a special group. He talked about it. They are going to be a little bit of a work in progress. But they're still going to be in the top 5. I mean, this is just a culture, trust Kearns. Every year at App State, outside of the year before last, he's finished in the top 5. So I like Kearns again to still be at the top with this roster. And I don't think they're not going to win it back-to-back, I don't think. But I love what they're doing there. I mean, the home atmosphere that they developed, it's not just a football school anymore there, man. They were showing up when they beat Auburn and just all those home games in the Fun Belt. So Kearns has it rolling. We'll see how much longer he's there.
Yeah, and a good reason for all those top 5 finishes is he's had 3 straight top 5 defenses in the Sun Belt. You know, I think it's hard for them not to take a step back after last season, but I don't have them falling off a cliff. I like what you said. I'm going to probably hover around the top 5, top 6 for App State. We'll see. Like I said, I do not have my rankings here in order. To normally I do for most shows, but this one I felt like shooting from the hip. So yeah, App State top half team for me, but I don't know if they're going to be competing for a title this year. Let's talk about Arkansas State next, who, Mac, they were 20-17 last year, 11-7 in conference. They finished 4th in the Sun Belt. Arkansas State loses 2 starters, but they bring back the second most minutes in the Sun Belt from last season. Freddie Hicks put up 11.8 points per game, 5.5 boards. And I think the bigger hit is losing point guard Caleb Fields, who averaged nearly 6 assists with 12 points and 3 rebounds per game. Coach Brian Hodgson is going to need a guy to step up and fill in that role, whether it be from returnees or some of the power conference transfers he brought in. Mac, what are your thoughts on Hodgson? I know he was a well-known assistant at Alabama. Year 1, Arkansas State, really good year. How do you think he's going to do in year 2?
I think they take a jump. I think that they contend for the Sun Belt in year 2. They were as hot, and I kept saying it. I said they're getting better and better. They, I think, won just coming down the stretch. They ended up finishing 11-7 last year. If I remember, they were like 4-6 at one point. So yeah, they won 8 out of 9 coming into the conference tournament. Then they go and they upset App State, and then they go to the postseason tournament. I think the CBI, and they get all the way to the Final Four before losing to High Point by 1. So they got a little bit of momentum. They got 62% of their, or 67% of their returning production in minutes last year. I mean, I like this roster a lot. Yeah, the point guard position, got to solidify that, but I think Hodgson's a good coach. He comes from that Nate Oates tree, and I think they're going to contend here in the Sun Belt.
So the thing I'll say about Hodgson is that we all know that the offense is going to be there. The Red Wolves, they're going to shoot it well. But, Mac, I've got to ask you. I got to come out and say it. The media poll has Arkansas State winning the league. You might have them as well. I'm just going to ask you, can they win the league with a defense that was ranked 12th out of 14 teams in the Sun Belt and dead last at guarding the perimeter? Can they win the conference with that kind of because that's what it was last year. And the media is basically pitching to me that they're the preseason number 1 team because of the offense and the continuity that they bring back. Is that kind of what you're feeling as well?
If they're going to be 12th again, no. But I think they're going to be improved. I think you look at it, he was a first-year head coach, and I think it took a minute. I think they got better defensively throughout the year. But like you said, if they finish 12th defensively again in the league, they're not going to win the league. So if they could just be in the top half with this offense, they're a pain in the ass to guard because they get up their volume just like Alabama. They're the Alabama of the Sun Belt.
Alrighty, I can buy that. Alabama has a good defense once every 2 years. It's been on and off whether they're locked down or not. Right in this area, Sun Belt, Western North Carolina got hit by Hurricane Helene, and SGPN's teaming up with mountainprojects.org to help out that area in need with hurricane relief. So if you can do whatever you can, whether it be $5 or $100, the highest donator though will be featured on one of the sports gambling podcast shows for college football weekend picks coming up. Again, we always get comments doing the nightly live shows with the college basketball experience. People saying, hey, we had a great winning day. Thanks to you guys. Here, your next beer on me, kind of in the live stream. There's a lot of people that tip here and there, and we're just we would like to deflect you guys or forward you guys along to mountainprojects.org because they're doing great stuff over there. And as always, thank you for tuning into the show here on YouTube. Click that subscribe button and like button. And over on Spotify, give us a 5-star rating because only you guys can prevent corporate gambling from taking over. We're here every night throughout the regular season of college basketball, picking every single game against the spread and on the money line. So always good stuff from the college basketball experience. We appreciate all you guys. Just take 5 seconds out of the day and help us out because the algorithm is, what controls the promotion of this show. So Thank you very much. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Their Pick'em has one of the biggest menus, for NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, NHL, and college basketball when the season rolls around here. And right now, Boosttober is upon us, which means that you're getting a spooky amount of profit boosts and much more. And with NBA tipping off, every NBA Pick'em entry from October 19th to October 27th is going to be boosted. And you can use these specials and boosts on all flexed entries. So use the code TCESGPN when you sign up to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. And we are back here on the college basketball experience, previewing the Sun Belt for the upcoming 2024-25 season. Alphabetical order. Next up for us is Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers, the Beach Chickens, the Teal Chickens, whatever you want to call them. They were 9-22 last season, 5-13 in conference. They finished 13th in the Sun Belt. Coastal Carolina was in a tough position going into the season, and then they lost Cliff Ellis, who retired in early December when Coastal was 3-6 on the year. The Chants finished 6-16, and the administration chose to move on from the Ellis regime. So Justin Gray comes in after a 22-10, 11-7 SoCon season at Western Carolina, where the Catamounts had the best defense by a mile in a very offensive conference. I think Coastal identified an up-and-coming coach. They grabbed him before he truly broke out with like an NCAA tournament or even a NIT appearance and run. Mac, how do you view this hire, Justin Gray at Coastal Carolina?
And hey, to be honest, when I was doing the coaching carousel, this was one of my favorite hires because me, man. I love watching guys prove it at the mid-major level and then make another step up. I mean, what he did at Western Carolina, they were a contender last year in a really good SoCon. We know how good Samford is. We know how good Furman is, ETSU, and Wofford year in and year out in that league, and Chattanooga. Dude, they finished fourth back-to-back years.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say headed into this year is it took him a minute there, so it may be a little bit of a rebuilding. He played at Wake, so he's from the Carolinas, very familiar, grew up in Raleigh. So, I mean, he bleeds the Carolinas. He's going down to South Carolina now at the beach. But, yeah, I love the hire for the long term. So this year I think they're going to struggle a little bit just because Cliff Ellis did not leave him much.
No.
And definitely had to retool this thing through the portal. But hey, I like the higher long term for the Chanticleers.
Yeah, man, you took if you didn't hit on it, I was gonna do it, but it took Gray a year or two to really kind of get going. And this is a super tough roster to get a read on. There are 12 transfers coming in. Almost none of them were impact players at their previous destination. From junior college, Salt Lake Junior College, Jordan Battle, who was previously at Utah Valley. He put up 14 points per game, 5 boards, 4 assists at Salt Lake last season. Coming in from Longwood is Davion Houston, who played 25 minutes per game last season. Rashid Jones, who is ranked 55th by JUCOrecruiting.com in the transfer portal. He was previously at Western Carolina under Justin Gray, but he comes from Northwestern Florida State. He averaged 12 points per game, 2.8 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game. Colin Granger also comes in from Western Carolina after only playing 11 minutes for them last season. He's a 6'9" graduate senior forward. The number 89th JUCOrecruiting.com transfer portal was Joshua Mayo from Mineral Area Junior College, 14 points per game, 4.5 boards, 3 assists per game. Andre Mulabe from Eastern Washington only played 19 minutes. Grand Canyon transfer Noah Amenhauser only played 2.5 minutes. He's 7'2" sophomore center. From High Point, Denzel Hines only played 8.5 minutes. Missouri, 7 minutes from Maybor Majak. Naz Brown comes in from Oklahoma State. didn't touch the floor last season. You also have a D2 transfer from Trevecca Nazarin, who missed last season due to injury. Connor Martin only played 14 minutes in his freshman season. So, yeah, it's just a giant mixed bag for Gray here. I have to say, like, they're going to be a bottom half team, but I like the hire too for the long haul. Anything else that you want to add on the shots?
No, I think we both hit the nail on the head, man. It's this is a team, and I always say this with the first year head coaches. Watch out for them in February. I think once they start getting it, they start building that continuity. I'm gonna really hit that home this year, and when we get to February, sorry, just because sometimes I feel like with second, third, and fourth year head coaches, like the message gets a little bit stale. But like first year head coach, it's still a little bit new. People are trying to buy in. So yeah, we're gonna buy into these Chanticleers as a dog roll late in the year.
Eventually, not right away. Eventually, we'll get around. Yeah. Georgia Southern's next up for us here today. They finished the year 9-24, 8-10 in the conference. So they only had one win in the non-con. Got rolling in conference play. Finished tied for 7th in the Sun Belt. Georgia Southern enters year 2 of Charlie Henry's tenure. This is another one of those teams, Mac, where they started slow in year 1 and they got rolling in January, February, March. The Eagles return 3 starters from that team and have a mix of youth and experience. Aaron Brooks returns after averaging 10 points per game. He shot 39% from 3 during his freshman campaign. If he stays steady, there's no sophomore slump. I think he's the go-to bucket getter for Southern this season. Who's getting him the ball is kind of my question here, because Adante Holloman transfers in from UTSA. He only played 21.5 minutes with the Roadrunners last season. He averaged 2 dimes and 7.5 points per game. Or it could be Bradley Douglas, who played 26 minutes per game with Little Rock, putting up 10, 3.5, and 2.5. Mac, am I overreacting about the possible hole at the 1, or Georgia Southern going to be a little bit better than what I'm prognosticating here?
I think you look at the way they finished. Yeah, perfect transition, Noah. We just talked about it, first-year head coaches, and then boom, right into it. A first-year head coach. They win 4 out of 5 down the stretch. They took App State in the conference tournament to overtime as well. So like they nearly won 5 out of 6 and got into the semifinals in year 1. I like Charlie Henry, another Nate Oates guy. So Nate Oates has 2 of his guys in this league. I think that they're going to take a step forward this year. I like, for the most part, their returning production. Another point guard, but it seems like that's kind of the common thing, where there's a lot of point guards that are no longer returning to their team in the Sun Belt. So I think Georgia Southern a little bit of a step middle of the pack for me in this Fun Belt.
Yeah, to me, I think I want to be a high on Southern if they can figure out some roles. Last year, Henry had the offense humming as a top 5 unit in the Sun Belt. I'm excited to see this JUCO bandit, Nicavion White, coming in. He was on the D2 national champion National Park team last year, averaging 17.5 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Sneaky sleeper team here for me for Georgia Southern, but I don't know how high they're going to land in the rankings, but I think I've labeled them as my sleeper because possibly even I am sleeping on them. The one other team that I've done this with this season was Fresno State. I had no idea what Fresno State was going to offer us either. So Georgia Southern, you have company. Georgia State.
So you're low on them, and they're your sleeper team.
Correct. Fresno State, I picked 11th behind Air Force. And
Benedict Noah over here.
No, I provided the reasoning why they're the sleeper, because
I hear you.
I am a little bit lower on them than I want to be. Georgia State is next. They're in conference, in-state rival. The Panthers went 14-17 last season, 8-10 in conference, also tied for 7th with those Georgia Southern Eagles. Georgia State returns to 3rd least minutes in this conference after a middle of the pack finish under Jonas Hayes. Hayes made a jump up from 3 wins in year 1 to 8 in year 2, but going into year 3, this team seems to be back at square one, looking totally different. Mac, do we trust Hayes to continue to trend up in trajectory, or is this kind of the beginning of a little bit of a boomerang stint here at Georgia State?
I think more so the Boomerang. You mentioned it, all the production that they lost, a lot of question marks on this roster. I mean, when you see kind of a 500 team at 8-10 or just below 500 team, and they only return 16-17%, a lot of question marks. Going to be a bottom tier, not basement for me, but definitely a bottom tier team for me in 24-25. I think they're somewhere in the middle of year 1 and 2.
Yeah, so they're expected to start Darnell Evans at the point. He's a D2 transfer from Caldwell, put up 23.5 points, 4.5 boards, 3.5 assists, 2 steals per game, shot at 45.5% from the field, 32% from 3. The one returner that they have is Taneri Lane, who put up 13 points, 2.5 boards, shot at 33.5% from deep. Zarik Nutter comes in from Northern Illinois, where he scored 15.5 points in 34 minutes per game, also with 5.5 boards, 2 assists. A Radford transfer in Justin Archer, a 6'7" senior forward who played 29 minutes last season, averaged 8 and 8. Shot at 70.5% from the field. Caesar Edwards comes in from Missouri State, played 18 minutes for the Bears last season, averaged 7 and 5. Malachi Brown comes in from Seton Hall. He didn't play much last season, so we'll see what he has to offer for the Panthers this year. A redshirt freshman from Iowa State, Jelani Hamilton, comes in. He was a former 3-star recruit, according to 24/7. And Nick McMullen transfers in from UNC Asheville after playing 22 minutes for them last season, averaged 10 and 6. There's a lot of pieces and a lot of newcomers. They're young. I got them in the bottom half, close to the basement here in my preseason rankings that I have not created yet. Mac, anything else that you want to add on Georgia State?
Nope. We're in agreement here, Noah.
Okay. Ryan Hasty saying lots of transfers from good programs. Did I overlook this? Iowa State, UNC Asheville, Seton Hall.
Solid. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tip my cap. There's some truth to that. But I don't know. I'm not too high on the squad. Sorry, what'd you say?
I said same.
Okay, my internet lagged while you were saying that. So before we continue on with the rest of this conference, the college basketball experience is brought to you by BetUS, the best in the business. They've been around for 30 years, and you can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts when you're looking to cash out. You can sign up today and deposit at least $100, and you have a chance to win a 1960 Ford Mustang. And if you use our link to sign up, you get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN, so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. And SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model or copy one of the top-performing ones from a leaderboard, and Rhythm will give you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Plus, I mean, but Rhythm's NBA models are now live. So if you're a basketball fan and you're just looking for action here, I think tomorrow the season begins and Rhythm's models are now up. So go over there and check out what they've got for tomorrow's games. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And we're home free here today on the college basketball experience Sunbelt Conference college basketball preview for the 2024-25 season. We left off with James Madison, the Dukes, in alphabetical order here. They were the NCAA tournament team last year. Mark Byington is out as head coach after a 32-4, 15-3 in conference season. They finished second in the Sun Belt, won the conference tournament, even won a game, beating Wisconsin, the 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. In comes Preston Spradlin from the mini Morehead State dynasty in the OVC, kind of without the teeth that the the Ohio Valley Conference used to have. Mac would know firsthand scars. It's a
We
new
always
regime.
keep Moorhead.
It's a new regime in Harrisonburg with a bunch of brand new players. Mac, your thoughts on Spradlin coming in here to James Madison?
Yeah, so you mentioned it. Spradlin was there both years. I was there at the P, and definitely when Belmont and Murray left, and Austin P and Jack State also, Moorhead slid right in and became the class.
EKU too.
Yeah, and EKU. Good point. Who that sucks because that was their rival, EKU and Moorhead, being both from the eastern part of the state of Kentucky. But he did a really good job the last 4+ years there. 20+ win all 4 years. Johnny Broom definitely helped get that program off the ground, and got to 2 NCAA tournaments, including last year. And he won the regular season twice, so it wasn't just him getting hot in March. I think it's a good hire if you're a JMU Dukes fan. You hired a guy that had success at the mid-major level, just like Byington did at Georgia Southern before jumping over to JMU. So I think they're trying to duplicate what they got with Byington. They're not going to be 27-5, 28-5, whatever they were under Byington, but I think this is a 20+ win season right off the bat, and I think JMU will contend, man. Football and basketball, the Dukes, man, they just find a way to compete. They find a way to win games. They got a good culture. They got good facilities. I mean, I went to multiple games last year, and I plan on going there again. They know what they're doing down there. This program and athletic department are just going to keep going up and up.
Yeah, I'm still feeling out my rankings, but this was the team that I was looking at that I might have winning the league. I don't know if that's much of a bold take or not with Spradlin in year 1, but what I love is I think Mark Freeman could play at any mid-major conference and be a superstar. Last year he missed it due to a preseason injury, which was unfortunate for Moorhead State. It even took us off them predicting to win the conference in the preseason, and they still went ahead and did that relatively risk-free. He's a 5'10" redshirt senior guard, and he averaged 15 points per game, 3 boards, 3.5 assists, over a steal per game in 2023. And last year was supposed to be his senior year. Now he gets to play in the Sun Belt. I think, that's a win-win for college basketball fans and for him. 36% 3-point shooter as well. They're going to surround him with some questionable pieces. I don't know if I would necessarily call them, good offensive pieces. I don't know. I'm not too much of a tactician when it comes to college basketball handicapping. I don't know how well this team's going to play defensively, but offensively, just on paper, they don't look like top notch, I would say. Noah Williams comes in from Washington. He also didn't play last year due to injury. He's a 6'5" redshirt senior as well. Played 25 minutes in 2023, averaged 8.5 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. Incoming from Syracuse is Justin Taylor, who played 23 minutes a season ago. He's a 6'6" guard. I like the size on this team because AJ Smith is a 6'6" junior guard as well, coming in from Southern Indiana, a OVC team that Spradlin saw a lot. He played 30 minutes for the Screaming Eagles, averaged 13.5 points, 8.8 rebounds, 1.5 assists, over a steal per game as a forward. That's pretty gnarly. Coming in from Seton Hall is Elijah Hutchins Everett, who played 13 minutes a game. He's a 6'11" center, senior, looking for a little bit more playing time. He shot at 48% in his limited time on the floor. D2 transfer from Florida Southern, Luke Anderson, put up 20 points per game, 8 boards, 2 assists. He's a nice lottery ticket. Eddie Ricks III coming in from Moorhead State as well, follows coach. He put up 7.5 and 5. He's a sophomore 6'7" forward, 1.5 assists per game as well. Also, Northern Illinois' Will Lovings-Watts transfers in after playing 22.5 minutes. He's a 6'5" guard. Texas A&M transfer Bryce Lindsey comes in. Also, Ebenezer Dwuna from Georgia Tech. And Matt Haynes going to redshirt this season, but he also follows coach from Moorhead State. So a major grab bag when it comes to offensive ability, but defensively, I like the size, but that's kind of like my forte when it comes to trying to handicap defense. Mac, any other thoughts that you have on this James Madison roster?
No, the main thing, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it is hard to project how good these transfer teams and new spots will be defensively, but Spradlin teams were good defensively at Moorhead,
Yes.
and you touch on the length. Freeman's really good at the guard position, so I'm with you, man. I do think that they're a contender. I may end up putting them as my champion. I don't know. Stay tuned. That's why you watch the whole show.
All righty. I might have swayed him from our pre-show talks. We'll see.
And Xavier Brown. I mean, like he's a menace defensively as well. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Louisiana. Speaking of menaces, the Ragin' Cajuns. Emphasis on the Ragin' here for us. Last year they were 19-14 overall, 10-8 in conference, finished 5th in the Sun Belt. Louisiana does lose Joe Charles, Themis Folks, and Kobe Julian to the transfer portal. Specifically with Julian, he was sniped by Arkansas State, who is now the preseason player of the year for the Red Wolves over there. How did Bob Marlin respond? Honestly, I thought it was pretty well. He grabbed a 25-point per game scorer and Mustafa El Mutakil from Indian River State Junior College, and 2 high major transfers that I'm relatively high on. Karan Davis from Louisville and Christian Wright from Oregon State. Karan Davis was a killer at junior college, averaged 24, 6, and 3 at LA Southwestern his sophomore year. But he didn't play last season after that dumpster fire under Kenny Payne. And Kentrell Garrett returns after playing 31 minutes for the Ragin' Cajuns last season. Averaged 9 points per game, 39% three-point shooter. Mac, Bob Marlin's been doing the damn thing for a while now. Only one losing season in conference play in the last decade. What are your thoughts on the Ragin' Cajuns? Because I still think this is a top half team, even though they lose, the entire core from last year's team.
I think it's a top 5 team still. They're old. They're really old. I think they're the oldest team in the league, maybe them in Southern Miss. And Bob Marlin, you mentioned it. He's won almost 500 games, whether at Louisiana, Sam Houston State. The guy just wins. He's had a winning season for the last 4 years at Louisiana, basically every single year besides that random COVID year. So he's going to find a way to get the most out of his roster. He's an older school type dude. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be well prepared. And I think they'll be right there in the mix again. Top 5 team. Not as good as the team 2 years ago, though. That team 2 years ago had some dudes on it.
Yeah. Joe Charles was kind of the last of that team. Yeah. But, last year, a 5th place finish after what they had lost the previous year was pretty damn good too. So they're just a really good coach in the Sun Belt. I'm not taking Marlin lightly. I think they'll be right in the mix, top half team for sure. UL Monroe, the Warhawks, are up for us next. They were 11-19 overall last season, 6-12 in conference, finishing 12th in the Sun Belt. Mac, UL Monroe returns the 3rd most minutes and is the 3rd most experienced team here in the preseason in the Sun Belt, according to Torvik. Keith Richards' last 500 or above finish in conference play was back when I was a senior in high school. Do we think he can get over that hump this season?
No, not really. I mean, dude, I know they bring back a lot, but I just don't think that they're very good. I was never impressed with them last year, and I know experience does matter, but I mean, what's their ceiling? 500? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I have it at.
Yeah. Like this team is a bottom tier team.
Yeah. So one of the 2 starters that UL Monroe lost last season was their point guard, Tyreek LaCure. And they didn't really replace him. So somebody's going to have to step up here. And honestly, it's not the best shooting bunch either when you look at it. Jalen Bolden, 23.5% from 3, 42% from the field. Tyrese Watson, 41% from the field, 28% from 3. Makai Willis, 42% from the field, 15% from 3. it's rough in the projected starting five when it comes to the shooting department. And there's some worked in depth here. There's a lot of juniors, a lot of seniors on the squad, and a lot of them played at least 15 minutes a game. It was a large rotation last season. The one newcomer that's going to attempt to fill in this point guard spot is Tazir Smith. He's a junior college recruit. He comes in from Pearl River after averaging 19 points per game, 7 boards, and 3.5 assists. He's a sophomore. That's a big step up in competition from that specific junior college into the Sun Belt, and he's a sophomore point guard. I've got some nerves about that. I think UL Monroe's ceiling, like we previously mentioned, is about 500. And, the last time he actually eclipsed the 500, because like I said, the last time he was a 500 in conference was when I was a senior in high school. The last time he was better than 500, I'm pulling it up right now. My computer's spinning a little bit. It was 2016. So 9 years ago. It's a little bit of a rough timeline lately for UL Monroe and Keith Richard.
It's been basically a decade. Yeah, they've been bad.
Yeah,
to keep it simple.
The Marshall Thundering Herd are next for us. Mac, up in your neck of the woods, West Virginia wasn't the only team the only program that, the basketball program that changed coaches this offseason. D'Antoni moves from moves from the head coach into a supervisor role in this program, and his assistant Cornelius Jackson will be the new man roaming the Thundering Herd sidelines. What do you know about this situation? Any thoughts on Marshall's program as a whole, trajectory wise?
D'Antoni, for the most part, looking back on just his tenure there, did a decent job. Marshall had always had talent, whether it's DeAndre Kane or Hassan Whiteside, and it felt like they just lacked discipline because they're a little bit of a shit show down there. But I think when that team with Elmore, who else was on that team? Jared West. They went to the NCAA tournament before getting blasted by the Mountaineers. But hey, they pulled an upset against Wichita. And for the most part, I thought he did a good job of reviving the program. Now he hands it off to his assistant coach, who had been there with him, the last 7-8 years. He played at Marshall. He's from Beckley, from the southern part of the state, kind of near Marshall. So I think Marshall will be all right. I think that they'll probably be more middle of the pack. I'm interested to see how he – and the same thing with the guy at Duquesne that we're going to talk about with the A-10, how he takes over an older generation coach and transitions from the associate head coach into the head coaching role. So interesting to see both of these hires at Duquesne and Marshall, both local to West Virginia.
Yeah, Marshall's a little bit weird this year to me. The front court's one of the best ones in the Sun Belt.
They always have talent.
Yeah, it's senior led. You've got he's on the thumbnail for us, Nate Martin, who averaged a double and 3 assists per game last year, and Abina Anakili Killen. They both return. Abina also played 30 plus minutes, 14.5 points per game, 6 boards. And then right behind him is Wyatt Fricks, a 6'10 redshirt junior who played 18 minutes a season ago, averaged 6 points, 3.5 boards, shot at 44% when he was on the floor. Like that, I think, is the deepest, best front court in the Sun Belt. And then they're going to turn to a bunch of NAIA transfer guards to uplift the backcourt and or provide some depth here. Incoming from Grace, who's a really damn good just athletic department in the NA level. The Gibbs brothers, Jacob and Cade, they're both senior guards, both really good shooters. Jacob averaged 14 points. Cade averaged 13 points. Both of them good on the glass. Both of them can pass the ball. So those two, I think, are really solid grabs. They also bring in Dezane Mingo from Guelph, who put up 21 points per game, 5.5 boards, 5 assists. They also bring in a point guard, Jalen Spear from Florida A&M. He's a graduate senior. He's 6'1", played 33 minutes a game last season, 15.5 points, 3.5 boards, 4 assists, shot at 38.8% from three. And then incoming from Akron is Michael Dawson, a 6'5" grad senior, played 21 minutes last season. Out of those five, I feel pretty good that Marshall's going to be able to piece together a around average backcourt in the Sun Belt, and I really think they're going to play through the big men. Marshall, I have kind of been a little bit of a surprise team this year too. Any other thoughts for you on Marshall?
They always have a pair of brothers down there, the Gibbs brothers and the Elmore brothers. So it's always family down there at Marshall. I guess I do have a little bit of Marshall green on right now, but what's the herd? Fuck the herd. That's what we say in Morgantown. So I'm with you. I think they'll be competitive. I don't have them contending for the league by all means, but
no, neither do I.
I do think that they're going to miss D'Antoni's leadership a little bit. I mean, he is a veteran coach, but he is a little bit all over the place too. If you've ever watched one of his press conferences, he's kind of a shit show.
He's erratic.
He's a Marshall guy. He's a Marshall guy. He's very erratic. Yeah,
he's erratic.
Yeah. He brought that D'Antoni ball. No, I am not wearing a Marshall shirt. I'm wearing a beer shirt. So yeah, don't be spreading that shit. I'll never wear a Marshall shirt.
The hatred for the little brother in state. They're
annoying.
I didn't know it existed like that. I always poke fun at like Central or Western in Michigan country, but
dude, they think that they're on the same level as W. They're just annoying. Yes, they're in the armpit of America, Huntington.
But, no, the armpit of America is Ohio. We'll get that.
Well, Huntington's basically in Ohio. It's basically it's right there. So it's right there with Ohio and Kentucky.
All righty. Old Dominion is next up for us alphabetically. 7-25 last season, 3-15 in conference, 14th, aka last in the Sun Belt. But Mac, I'm going to steal your role for a second here, as there's a new era. Like here too, Mike Jones replaces Jeff Jones as the Old Dominion head coach here. Mike was a former Monarch who played at Old Dominion from 1991 to 95. Earned all CAA honors as a senior, and Jones scored 19 points in ODU's triple overtime win in the 1995 NCAA Tournament win over the 3-seed Villanova. He spent 19 seasons as the head coach at DeMatha High School before joining the Virginia Tech coaching staff in 2021. Old Dominion has one of the younger rosters in the Sun Belt with not much production returning. But Mac, tell me why I'm a little bit crazy, or maybe I'm not too crazy, for not picking Old Dominion to finish in the basement here in the Sun Belt. I feel like they're going to be around 10, 11, maybe even 9 in the Sun Belt this season.
Yeah, everybody go check out the Mike Jones interview from August, I think. He bleeds that program. I mean, he loves ODU. You could hear it in his voice. I think that they're going to be competitive right away, right in the middle of the pack. I think, like you said, coming over from DeMatha, obviously he took the tough role of replacing Morgan Wooden, who was a legend there. He played at ODU. He knows what it takes to win at ODU. He spent times at Maryland, Virginia Tech. Their roster is pretty good for a first-year transfer class. I like some of the pieces that they brought in. So I'm with you. I think basketball in the 7-5-7 is going to be competitive again.
You like the roster? I thought it was a little bit underwhelming, to be honest.
I think it's chippy. I think it reflects Mike Jones. I almost said Jeff Jones. By the way, they are not related.
Yeah,
Jeff Jones is an older white guy.
Just pull up a picture.
Mike Jones is black. So, yeah, they are not related, everybody.
Thanks, Mac.
To keep it simple. Jeff Jones was a really good coach at American before that, and he was at Virginia as well. So both have been in the DMV forever.
Jeff Jones was solid too.
He just ran out, and then he had the health issues at the end.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're not related.
That was the only thing that was kind of like giving me a little bit of doubt. Is like I don't know if this roster matches up with a lot of others in the Sun Belt. But if you think it fits well, I'll trust your judgment more than my own. He's like the DMV Lord. He brings in a Maryland 7-footer, Caleb Swanton Roger. Just sit him in the paint and tell people try your best, honestly. And I like it. They've got some length. I just on paper, I don't think it matches up nearly as much as some of the others in the Sun Belt. But I have them like 9th or 10th.
I have them a little bit higher. Sorry, I can't talk.
Okay, so we're both high on the higher. Like that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know me, man. I love when they bring back one of their own.
All right. South Alabama is next for us. 16-16 last year, 8-10 in conference, tied for 7th in the Sun Belt last season. They only returned one starter. So Richie Riley hit the NAIA and D2 recruiting routes really hard in the offseason, bringing in 8 total transfers. The Jaguars are going to be scrappy, but this has to be the smallest roster in the Sun Belt. I don't know, like, typically when you go out and you get a D2 NAIA transfer, most of them are going to be alphas. So I might sound a little contradicting here because I do like bringing in a scrappy up-and-comer. But bringing in 6 different ones, like, isn't there going to be like a little bit of competition? Like all of them are playing the same exact role at their previous school, and now having them play together, I don't know if that's a great strategy either. It's useful to sprinkle in 1 or 2, but I have questions kind of up and down here. Mac, your thoughts on South Alabama?
I feel like this is the same song and dance we do with Richie Riley in South Alabama every year. They're replacing a ton. They love to juke it up. They love the NAIA guys. They love the transfers, and they finish in the middle of the pack. It feels like they're 500 every year, and
it's not pretty.
It's an inconsistent roster. So I think it's more the same. I actually think that they're a little bit worse than they've been. So, okay. I don't know, man. This is they just have lacked. I guess they've been consistent, but like I feel like I've been higher on them in the past with some of like the high major transfers, and they just don't have the level of talent, in my opinion, that they've had in the past.
I recognize some of these NAIA programs, like solid ones like Faulkner, Jessup, Freed Hardman. Like those are all solid athletic departments. I know that firsthand, but like I can't tell you.
They were the portal, but like the portal NIL era in the Sun Belt before it became like everybody was doing it. Like I'd be like, God, how many transfers are they taking? But yeah. I digress.
I mean, they're old. Like this is just Richie Riley's strategy. Hey, go and get these 1-year guys from D2 NAIA and
hope it fits.
Yeah, good Lord. I mean, this is the thing. Like, I don't. So Jaden Cooper is a sophomore from Faulkner. He's like probably the cement piece that he's going to use for the next couple of years. He's a point guard, averaged 3 assists for Faulkner last year. Over a steal per game, shot at 40% from 3, averaged 21 points per game. Dylan Fasayuro comes in from D2 Damon, put up 17 points per game in 30 minutes, 4.5 boards, over assist per game, 41% 3-point shooter. He's going to start. After that, I mean, shit, you got Barry Dunning Jr., Maxwell Land, Judah Brown, Land and Brown returning from last year's team. Land was a bucket getter, but not a great shooter. Brown didn't have a ton of time last season, couldn't shoot it either. From Miles Corey comes in from Jessup. He shoots it well, but it wasn't much of a passer at the bottom level. Kentia Raming is an interesting one from D2 St. Leo. Averaged double-double per game in 32 minutes. He's a grad senior, 6'7" forward. Randy Brady coming in from Chattanooga, 21 minutes per game. Shot at 40.5% from 3 when he got his chance. Honestly, not too much volume there. And then JJ Wheat was the Freed Hardman incomer. 13.5 points per game, 4 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals per game. Shot at 40% from 3. they're a bunch of wild cards, and I'm going to land them kind of in the group that you typically land a wild card team, which is about middle of the pack, maybe a little bit below. Next up for us is Southern Miss, the Golden Eagles. Oh boy. Before we get to the
shit show too.
Before we get to the elephant in the room, they lose all 5 starters from last season, and I can't help but think that the Golden Eagles missed their window. And now to the fun stuff, because Andre Curbelo returns for a 5th year. The experiment, I think, was a little bit of a push last season because he wasn't cleared for eligibility until like January. Then he got hurt, so he only played 12 minutes, or not 12 minutes. He only played 12 games. He showed up for his fashion shows on the sidelines when he wasn't playing. I remember a couple of like long coats and sunglasses indoors. Like, good Lord. But he's the same roller coaster as he was with Illinois and St. John's. This season, I believe Jay Ladner plans to move him off the ball as his main role. Grad senior Neftali Alvarez redshirted last season due to injury, so he's back. He averaged 8, 2, and 3 in 2023, and this is going to allow Curbelo to not be the main ball handler and showcase his 4 turnovers a game. He can instead, attempt to be a featured scorer. Mac, you're not the biggest fan of Curbelo. Last year, I gave him a chance. I thought Southern Miss was a really damn good team, and then Curbelo was like on the side. He could provide some fun, but I thought they underperformed last year due to expectation. If Curbelo plays 31 games this season, are you higher than a, say, 8 and 10 finish on the Golden Eagles, or are you a little bit lower? Because 12 games, 31 games, he's a complete enigma. Go ahead, take the floor.
So I feel like him coming back with a very inexperienced team, like you said, a lot of changing. They're the oldest team in the league.
Yes.
So, dude, I have no idea what to. Them in South Alabama, flip a coin. How many games are we playing this league? 18. They're going to be 7 and 11, and it's going to be an entertaining as hell 7 and 11. That's all I can guarantee. And remember, Ladner had some health issues in the Curbelo's guy was the coach for a couple of games, so that's I think that they'll be entertaining. I think they can beat anybody. Same with South Alabama. I think they could knock anybody off on their home floor, but I also think they could go to Monroe or Coastal and get run as well. And that's kind of what this league is. So Southern Miss, middle-ish, bottom, 8 to 10. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's kind of where I have them too. Curbelo is not a great shooter. Honestly, there's not much great shooting on this team. D'Antoni Gordon transfers him from Little Rock. He's a 6'8" forward. He's probably the guy outside of Curbelo. 31 minutes last season, 11.5 points, 4.5 boards, 1.5 assists per game, 52% from the field, 34.5% from 3. He does a little bit of everything for you. Denijay Harris comes in from Arkansas, only played 4.5 minutes last season for them. They bring in the 50th ranked JUCO recruit in Alfred Worrell Jr., who put up 12 points per game, 2.5 boards at John A. Logan last season. And then D2 transfer from Stanislaus State. They got destroyed by St. Mary's. I don't know why, but that's like I just remember how ridiculous of a college name Stanislaus State is, and I know they got wrecked by St. Mary's. It was like 130 to like 29. But John Wade III comes in after averaging 12.5 points, 5.5 boards, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals per game for those Stanislaus State Fighting Warriors or whatever their nickname is. But he played 27.5 minutes for them. He comes in. Southern Miss is, middle of the pack, slightly below average.
All that just to say they were middle of the pack, just like South Alabama. Let me ask you this, and I see this in the chat from Girth Brooks. Great picture, great name. How old is Curbelo now? God, he was.
I don't think he's like too old. I think this is legitimately his 5th year. Let me check.
Is he?
Yeah.
I also just think sometimes these journeymen, they're not staying healthy. Like
No.
they just, there's a reason why they bounce around so much. It's a shit show operation.
So he was a freshman in 2021. This is his 5th year. So
Okay. Interesting.
Gosh, can't believe it's already been 5 years. Curbelo, one of the more entertaining players that has graced college basketball.
He was so good as a freshman at Illinois.
Oh my God, it was very entertaining. Like he came off the bench, provided a spark for Illinois, and he was a super passer. And then it got to his head at St. John's, and he was turning it over left and right. That was a little bit of an issue at Illinois too, is why he was coming off the bench. He's just erratic, and he's never really gotten better at that. So, playmaker with a little bit of a crutch to it. Avetta says he's 23. Next up for us alphabetically is Texas State. Pulling up where we've got Texas State where I've got Texas State this season. Last season they're
struggling.
Yeah, last year they were 17-18 overall, 7-11 in conference, tied for 10th in the Sun Belt. They honestly they return a good bit of production here. 60% of their minutes, according to Torvik as well, they are the 5th most experienced team here in the Sun Belt. They only lose 2 starters from last year. In Jordan Mason, who played 31 minutes, averaged 13, 3.5, and 3. And also Davion Sykes transfers out after playing 28 minutes. Brandon Love transfers out. He played 25 minutes last season, averaged 10.5, 5.5. Sykes was 11-point per game scorer with 7 rebounds per game. Dante Horn, Elijah Kennedy, Ryan Bolton, and Elijah Tate also joined those guys hitting the transfer portal and getting out from San Marcos. But returning is Christian Turner, 25-minute per game player, but also in the backcourt, Caden Gums and Dylan Dawson. This is a team that I think is going to be a little bit better than last year. I like some of the experience that they bring back, and also Tyrell Morgan is he's back for another year. Apparently he got a red shirt last season, so he's a 6'5" forward, graduate senior, played 27 minutes, averaged 14 points, 8 boards, 1.5 rebounds in 2023. So Texas State's an interesting team, to say the least. I think that they're not going to be tied for 10th like they were last season. I think I have them probably like 7th, 8th, or 9th. Again, haven't created my rankings. Mac, how do you feel on Terrence Johnson's tenure at Texas State? You hinted at it a little bit, but go ahead, take the floor.
So they fired Danny Casper, who is a heck of a basketball coach. I know he had some things at the end that weren't exactly politically correct, and it was in 2020. So he kind of got canned there. But I mean, he had the program in a good spot. They, like you said, he kind of took over that roster, and I feel like he benefited from those first couple of years. This is a big year for him. This program, in my opinion, should be a little bit better than back-to-back losing seasons. That's what they were in his first 2 years, and then Casper's run at the end. I mean, Casper also started the Stephen F. run as well. He was rolling before Brad Underwood took it over and had it rolling at Incarnate Word as well. So I think this is a big year, like you said, for Terrence Johnson. I think I do like some of the experience coming back, but, man, I think that they're more in the middle of the pack, in my opinion.
Yeah, so we're going to finish this thing off with no bigger question mark than I have for you. Troy Trojans, 20-12 overall last season, 13-5 in conference, 3rd in the Sun Belt. They return the most minutes in the Sun Belt, yet they're the youngest team in the Sun Belt, according to Torvik here, going into the season. What do you weigh more, retention or experience, Mac?
I mean, I love this team. This team was 13-5 last year and brought everybody back. And this guy,
they lose 2 starters, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I meant like you mentioned it, like the most production coming back compared to the other teams. This guy can coach. Scott Cross, He was jobbed at UT Arlington. Remember that? He won 20-plus games 3 straight years. Then they fired him to bring in Ogden from Texas, and which completely fell on its face. He's built Troy back up 3 straight 20-win season, just like he had at Arlington. They're my dark horse to win it, man. They got better and better last year, 13-5 in a year where App State and JMU were elite. They were right on their heels, just 1 game back or 2 games back. So, dude, they finished strong down the stretch too, and then got upset in the conference tournament. So I think they got a bad taste in their mouth. I like the guys coming back, and I like Scott Cross a lot.
Okay. That's kind of where I was leaning with this team. I think they're a contender this year. They played a lot of guys in the rotation last year. They've got 8 guys coming back that played double-digit minutes a season ago. I think that's the most here in this conference. Tayton Conerway is going to be, I think, the alpha in the room here for the Trojans. He only played 20 minutes per game last season. He's a 6'3" senior point guard. He put up 12 points per game, 3 boards, 2.5 assists, 2 steals per game. Shot at 33% from deep, 47.5% from the field. Everybody around him, I think, are very nice support pieces. You got Marcus Rigsby, who only played 12 minutes per game last season, but in his limited time, 34% three-point shooter. Miles Rigsby, who shot at 41% from 3 last year in 26 minutes, averaged 11.5 and 4.5 points. How about that? The younger brother playing over the older brother last season. Thomas Dowd, 6'8" sophomore forward, played 22 minutes last season, 34% three-point shooter, averaged 6.5 and 5.5. Whoa. And then Jackson Fields played 23 minutes, 6.5 points, 4.5 boards, 45% from the field. They've got a very nice balance to this program. And like you said, they finished hot last year. They finished 3rd in the conference, and they had the 3rd best offense, 3rd best defense. I just really like the balance of the Trojans. So I have them as a contender in this conference as well, Mac. That's going to wrap up our team preview section. Did you have anything else on Troy before?
No, I was with you. I really do like the guards that they had. Tayton Conerway. I mean, he's right there. He's going to be a player of the year contender.
All right. I like expanding his role in minutes. I think that's going to translate really well. Let's rank these teams. You're going to have to give me a minute because I had a lot of teams that, like I said, all throughout the show, just a lot of teams that I didn't feel great, didn't feel bad about, but I just think it's a one big pile of mess from like 5 to 13. No offense, but Georgia State, I've got you 14th.
I think we agree. I do have, I do it because I think Coastal will sneak up on some teams. So yeah, I have Georgia State there.
All right, go ahead with your 13.
I did have Coastal. I think it'll take a year, like I alluded to. So I have Coastal at 13. I think that they overachieve and get out of the basement.
I'm gonna go with. Jeez, I gotta double check something before I screw up.
You gonna go Monroe?
No, God, I gotta go Coastal. I gotta go Coastal too.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair. I mean, we still both like them. All right, at number 12. This is where I got the shit show teams. I got South Alabama at 12.
I'm not quite there yet. I've got UM Monroe 12.
Okay. I have Southern Miss at 11.
Just headaches all over the place in this conference. I'm going Georgia Southern 11. I said it. I think they start slow. There's just a lot of new pieces there, a lot of young pieces. I think they finish strong because I like the ingredients, but it's going to take 2 hours to cook that meal. Go ahead, Mac.
At number 10, I have UL Monroe.
Okay. I've got Texas State, 10th.
Ooh, I like it. I got Texas State at 9.
All right. I'm going to go South Bama there at 9.
Okay. At number 8, this is where I got the herd. I got Marshall. That's like I said, middle of the pack.
I'm a little bit higher on them than you.
Okay.
You just hate them because they're Marshall.
They're 8th. I mean, what were they preseason ranked? I bet you they were like 8th.
We'll get to that in a second. Because actually, I think you're a little bit higher than the media poll.
I'm throwing little brother a bone here.
I'm going to go Old Dominion, 8.
I got my Monarchs at 7. Trending upward, baby.
Yeah, for sure. Give me Southern Miss at 7.
Okay. I got Georgia Southern at 6.
I like it. It's bold, but I think they have a potential to be a good team this season. I got App State 6th.
Oh, yeah. Don't you disrespect my boy Dutton Kurtz. At number 5, I said it right on the nail. Louisiana top 5 team because of Bob Marlin. 5th. He'll find a way.
I got Marshall. Sorry.
I said he'll grind out games. Louisiana 5.
I got Marshall 5th. Like I said, I think that's the best front court in this conference, and I'm a little bit higher on the back court. I think they might be able to piece that thing together sooner than others think. 4 for you.
Slight step back, like I alluded to. I have App State finishing 4th.
Okay. I have Louisiana 4th.
Okay. At number 3, this is where it's still a first-year head coach. Preston Spradlin and the JMU Dukes, but I think they're right there. They're right there to win it.
Yeah, I have Arkansas State 3rd.
Okay.
I'm not all the way bought in. I need to see it one more time. But so you have them a little bit higher. I think the top 3 teams here are the top 3 teams. 4 through 13. I think I said 3 through 13 before. Just make it 4 through 13. I would not be surprised in any sort of order in this league. Go ahead with your number 3. Or number 2.
Yeah, I had JMU 2. And then at number 2, Ark State's got a little bit of hype, like you said. They finished 2nd. The Troy Trojans, Scott Cross, win the league. Let's go.
I got Troy finishing 2nd and James Madison winning this regular season under Preston Spradlin. Tournament champion. Who's going to be playing their best ball come middle of March?
You know me, man. I love to take the year after the year. App State got their hearts broken by Ark State last year. Give me the Mountaineers to get it done. They get better and better throughout the year, the new group. And I think Kearns cuts down the nets again for the Mountaineers. I think he wanted the 1 year as a 4 seed as well. So he's familiar with this role. I
am going to go Louisiana.
I was going to say, don't go chalk in this league. This league is never chalk.
No. So I trust Bob Marlin. I think it's a relatively new group. A lot of transfers, some upcoming, some from the high major, I should say. I think Louisiana could be playing some really good ball come late March. And, there's some others that I kind of said the same thing, but I think Louisiana's just at a different level. They've been Marlin's been there, done that in the Sun Belt for quite a bit here. I trust him the most when it comes to March over a couple other teams that I like to peak at the right time of the year. Mac, your sleeper compared to the Sun Belt media poll, we'll also get to our busts here in a second. The Sun Belt media poll went Arkansas State as a preseason favorite to win. They were picked first. James Madison 2nd, Troy 3rd, Louisiana 4th, Southern Miss 5th, App State 6th, Texas State 7th, Georgia Southern 8th, Old Dominion 9th, Marshall 10th, South Alabama 11th, Georgia State 12th, Coastal Carolina 13th, and UL Monroe 14th.
I want to say I was the highest for sleeper wise. Well, Troy winning the league, I think, is a little bit of a sleeper. I don't think you're going to see many people give out Troy to win the Sun Belt. But I think the highest in terms of ranking, what did you say Georgia Southern was?
8th.
What did you say App State was?
6th.
They're both the same for me. ODU?
9.
So I have App State, Georgia Southern, ODU all finishing 2 above what they've put there. So I would say out of those, what would be the biggest sleeper? I think if ODU, Mike Jones gets into that top half of the league in year 1 would be my sleeper.
My sleeper is going to be Marshall. They were picked 10th in this preseason poll. I've got them 5th. So I'm gonna go with the Thundering Herd with Cornelius Jackson in his year 1. I think they surprise your bust team.
I'm trying to remember the damn bar in Huntington that I've been to. It's got Randy Moss pictures everywhere. It's an Irish one. I think maybe something St. Patty's maybe. Yeah, you're just trying to get a couple free rounds of St. Patty's, giving out all these Marshall picks. Bus is easy. Southern Miss. What did you say they said they were?
Southern Miss was picked 5th.
Oh, get out of here! They're finishing 11th. The Corbella experience. Why are they 5th?
I don't know. The media like Corbella.
Yeah,
he's entertaining.
11th. Easy bus. That's a great bus candidate.
It is a very good bus candidate, honestly. Texas State for me. They were picked 7th. I've got them 10th, so 3 spots lower. That's the biggest difference that I've got. That's going to wrap up today's Sun Belt Conference preview. I mean, honestly, that was a lot of fun. Fun Belt living up to its name. I think there's going to be a lot of parity in the middle and bottom of this conference. A lot of home teams winning their games. A lot of uncertainty when it comes to me picking these games every single day throughout the regular season. Will be here, the College Experience -SGPN on YouTube. You can watch us live around at midnight Eastern time, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, considering a lot of the final games wrapping up. But yeah, I mean, every single night, every single game, ATS and Moneyline, College Basketball Experience. Come bring a drink, have a joint, whatever. The chat is outstanding, very rowdy. It's almost like just a cult that we've created. Almost like 300, 400 people watching live a night. It's rowdy, very fun. The community is great over here at the College Experience, to say the least. You've got Chinese spy balloons, a couple of passed away old dictators. I mean, just hilarious stuff going on in the YouTube chat. It's outstanding. Give us a follow on Twitter at Moneyline_Mac for my good friend Ryan McIntyre, and for myself, Noah B77 _. You can follow the show at TCE on SGPN on Twitter. Leave us a like, rating, review, subscribe wherever you're listening to this, whether it be YouTube or any podcast platform out there. This has been the College Basketball Experience. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.